Aloha, my friends, my familia out there on this beautiful Friday or Frigga, which is related to the goddess Venus, the goddess of love, also the planet known as the billionaire planet. Fridays are actually really great days for manifesting wealth and abundance because of the correlation between Venus, the planet of love, and the energy of abundance and wealth. What I would like to share with you today is about the energetic of the asteroid Chiron. Chiron in astrology is something not widely spoken of, and yet probably one of the most powerful impacts in a person's chart that I have come across in terms of identifying and revealing our deepest wound or our biggest challenge. And that asteroid is Chiron. Chiron is known as the wounded healer, and the energetic of Chiron speaks to individually and collectively where we may be holding our deepest wound. So, by the sign that Chiron is in, as well as the house in your astrological chart, each house relates to an arena, an area of our lives. The first house relates to identity, the second to wealth and building material security, the third to communication, fourth to home and family, fifth, fun, romance, seventh, relationships, 10th, career and purpose. And so by knowing which house, and each person's chart changes based on what sign they had at the eastern horizon at the moment of their birth. Therefore, each of us has Chiron in a different location in our chart. Some people might be the same, fairly rare, but for each of us, Chiron affects us differently. And I wanted to focus in on where is Chiron now up in the sky? What sign is it in? And how might it be affecting us? Because Chiron will be retrograde for the next many months from July 23rd to December 29th. Yeah. So what does it mean for Chiron, the wounded healer, to be retrograde? And this is actually coming to you. I made a post about how Chiron, the wounded healer, is in polarity or directly opposite the moon today, which is fairly meaningful. And I had a subscriber ask, what does that mean? So I wanted to come to you live and explain it. So we're going to start out by looking at, the chart of the day so that I can show you what it looks like energetically. We have this really major aspect. So what does it mean? Well, we have to kind of break things down into parts. So the first part we want to look at is, what does the moon represent energetically in an astrological chart? The moon represents emotion. It represents mood. It represents how we feel. It is related to the member of the family it's related to is the mom. It's related to home and family and the things that we need to feel comfortable, the things we need to feel safe, to feel cared for. It is all about that cozy, loving, feminine presence of the mama. Okay, so when the moon, which represents our deepest emotion, in some cases our deepest vulnerability, is in polarity to Chiron, who is the wounded healer, there's a good guess that we may be having. And polarity means tension. Polarity means that moon is in one sign, Chiron is in the sign directly opposite it. And so they're totally different energies, which makes them magnetic and also creates tension. And that tension could be felt in the form of feeling something, moon and emotion, Chiron of a wound, feeling the wound of Chiron deeply today, or feeling that your desire for comfort, the things you want to do to feel comfortable, are in direct opposition to what Chiron is needing to have healed. And so I want to dive into that because this is pretty deep and it's pretty profound. We have the moon in Virgo, today, an earth sign. Virgo is very practical, very pragmatic, very grounded, very in the body, very much concerned with diet, health, exercise, nutrition. Whereas Chiron is in Pisces and it's in the sign of the spirit. It's in the sign of the ephemeral waters of life, our connection to Great Spirit, our connection to higher self, our connection to these spiritual realms. And so at times, Virgo is so much about schedule and routine and the day to day. Virgo moon may have trouble taking a moment to rest, to pause, to reflect, to go within. Chiron in Pisces, though, is saying perhaps there is a wound in the collective around being able to rest, around being able to take time to go within, to feel oneself, to tune into one's spiritual connection. And if we think about humanity and civilization and society, people are moving at such a fast speed to provide for their families, to make sure there's food on the table. And the political environment is so stressful today, in this day and age. People feel like they have to be working so hard, Virgo, to bring in the resources to survive. Opposite Chiron and Pisces, there could be a wound around our spiritual nature and our need to provide. And it's creating this tension and it's bringing up a lot of emotion. And I'm just so grateful every day to have the astrological chart to guide me as I go through each day and feel what's coming and then look at the chart and I'm able to realize that what I am feeling has a connection to a planetary aspect. Once I'm able to identify it and the awareness goes to it, I can ask myself, what do I need to look at and work on to get through this energetic? And I often feel so light, so uplifted by simply bringing that awareness to it. So I'm going to share screen and we're going to look at the chart of the day today. And please share in the comments where you're at, how you're feeling. I love reading your comments. I love hearing what's happening, how these aspects are affecting you individually and collectively. I feel that we're all in this together. And so by sharing our stories, by sharing where we're at, we can more deeply support one another. We can more deeply uplift one another and thus create deeper harmony, peace, and love on this planet. Okay, so just going to take a moment here, take a look at the chart of the day. Excited to hear where you're all out today. I'm betting since it's Friday, many of you are very busy at this moment, but later when you watch this video, I'd love to hear how you're processing these energies. It's a really beautiful time. We have so many things moving into Virgo. However, the sun is still in the last degrees of Leo. Now, the last degrees of a water sign and the last degrees of a fire sign can be intense. The last degrees of when the sun is in a fire sign can be especially volatile. Okay, and so we're in the last degrees of Leo until September 13th. So we have about a week left of this sign. And so I want to really caution you to watch your temper, to notice that the energy might be big, and just really wait to act out until give yourself at least a week for the sun to move into Virgo. And once the sun moves into Virgo, this is sort of like the last volatile sunburst of Leo. The energetics, the heat will quiet down a bit. Mercury will still be in Leo, which is how we communicate and we express ourselves, but it will join Sun, Venus, and many other energies here in Virgo, which will be the earth energy. It's a feminine energy. It's yin energy. It's more internal. It's more grounded. It's more special time for grounding than it will be for the next 7 days. So just be aware of that. Now, coming to today's topic, the moon Venus, Juno, and the South Node all conjunct in Virgo today, all in polarity to the destiny point and Chiron, the wounded healer. What does that mean? Well, to understand Chiron, we need to take a little trip into the Greek mythology world and actually study the story of who Chiron, the asteroid, was named after. So we're just going to take a little journey into Wikipedia so I can share with you the story of Chiron and hopefully give you greater awareness about what Chiron, the wounded healer, is, what it's all about. Okay. So Chiron, ancient Greek, relates back to Chiron or hand, which is interesting. He was said to be the superlative centaur, so one of the highest centaur among his brethren, his kind. He was called the wisest and justest of all the centaurs. He was notable throughout Greek mythology for his youth, nurturing nature. His personal skills tend to match those of his foster father, Apollo. So his foster father was Apollo, who taught the young centaur the art of medicine, herbs, music, archery, hunting, gymnastics, and prophecy, and assisted him to rise above his beastly nature. So Chiron was born half centaur, half man. Chiron was known for his knowledge and skill with medicine and was credited with this discovery of botany and pharmacy, the science of herbs and medicine. Like satyrs, centaurs were notorious for being wild, lusty, overly indulgent drinkers and carousers, violent when intoxicated, and generally uncultured delinquents. Chiron, by contrast, was intelligent, civilized, and kind because he was not related directly to the other centaurs due to his parentage. He was the son of Titan, Kronos, and the Oceanid Pylera, and thus possible brother to Dolops and Aphros, the ancestor and eponym of the Afri, the native Africans. Interesting. Chiron lived predominantly on Mount Pelion. There he married the nymph Chariclo, who bore him 3 daughters. Hippie, that's funny, also known as the Melanippe, meaning the black mare, Andius and Oxyraho, and 1 son, Charistus. I'm probably not pronouncing these Greek names correctly, but bear with me. Okay. So, what is his story? So he was a centaur. He was raised partially by the gods. Okay. Okay. So what happened? Okay. All right. So according to the archaic myth, Chiron was sired by the Titan Cronus, who had taken the form of a horse and impregnated the nymph Philyra. Okay. And so he has a different parentage than all of the centaurs. Soon after giving birth to Chiron, so his life started out kind of traumatic, Philyra abandoned her child out of shame and disgust. Chiron, effectively orphaned, was later found by the god Apollo, who took him under his wing and taught him the art of music, lyre, archery, medicine, and prophecy. Apollo's twin sister, Artemis, the goddess of the moon, so Apollo is the god of the sun, Artemis is the goddess of the moon, trained him in archery and hunting. Chiron's uniquely peaceful character, kindness, and intelligence are attributed to Apollo and Artemis. He was also known as a great healer, an astrologer, and a respected oracle. Chiron was said to be the first among centaurs and highly revered as a teacher and tutor. So Chiron overall was born into this trauma, right, of being abandoned by his mother, fostered by Apollo and Artemis, trained, right? So he probably started out life with some type of deep pain, but he turned that pain into skill by studying medicine, by studying healing, studying astrology, becoming an oracle, and being of assistance to others. And so he is very famous through all of the Greek mythology as being the renowned mentor and teacher to the majority of Greek heroes in Greek mythology, including Achilles, who is the son of the Argonaut Peleus, and also he was also the guide and teacher to Asclepius, and Asclepius is the other name for Ophiuchus, the 13th sign. So if you're familiar with the 13th sign, this is very interesting little connection in Greek mythology that Asclepius was trained by Chiron. And so Asclepius was known as the best healer of all time, and he was trained by Chiron. So Chiron is, of course, probably the best teacher, the best healer, so learned, so well-versed. Okay. Right. So Asclepius, of course, would later die because he learned how to resurrect the dead, and Zeus, the king of the gods, killed him with a lightning bolt. Right. So he was also the mentor to Jason, the leader of the Argonauts, and Patroclus, as also numbered by one of the students, a Roman poet. Okay, so he is this famous teacher and guide to many of the Greek heroes and heroines, okay? Now, his nobility is further reflected in the story of his death. So what happened? Okay, so Chiron was this great healer and he was helping everyone, but he was pierced with an arrow which belonged to Hercules that had been treated with the blood of the Hydra or the snake. And so, right, and so he was in this horrible pain. So Chiron was hit in the thigh after the centaurs had fled. He pulled one of the arrows from the body of the dead centaur and wondered how such a little thing as an arrow could cause so much death. In that instant, he let slip the arrow from his hand, and it dropped and hit him in the hoof, killing him instantly. Let's see. Right. So the story goes, Chiron is poisoned by this arrow, and he could not heal himself. And he was immortal, though, right? Because he was sired by one of the Titans who was immortal. And so here's this immortal being who has this great wound from this arrow that's poisoned. It's like a poisoned wound. And yet he could not heal himself. So he's like trained to be the best healer, the best guide, the best oracle of all the lands. He's trained all the great heroes. And he gets plucked by this poison arrow and he can't heal himself. And so there's this great wound that he's walking around with, and it's torturous. It hurts, right? He's in agony. And so what does he do? He helps someone. He helps someone. So his nobility is further reflected in the story of his death. So have you ever heard of Prometheus? Some of you know that's the type of software I used with my astrology charts. Prometheus had sacrificed his life in order to assist mankind to obtain the use of fire. So Prometheus was immortal, and he went and stole fire from the gods, brought it down to humanity. And because of this, the gods had decided to torture him, to punish him, by chaining him to a rock where an eagle pecked out his liver for his transgressions every day and then would regrow overnight to have it happen again. And so Prometheus basically was living through this torture day in and day out. And so Prometheus, who'd been plucked by the arrow, was also in torture and suffering every day, and they were both immortal. And so Chiron offered to give his immortality up for Prometheus to go free. And so Chiron bargained with the gods and gave his life up. He was then placed into the sky as the asteroid, and Prometheus was set free. Okay, so this is a very involved story. I hope you've been able to stay with me so far. If you have any questions, leave them here. Chiron represents the wound that we may carry or that the collective is carrying. That is something that, as we are able to heal it, we are able to assist many. And it speaks to this concept that it is through the wound that the light gets into us. It is through our biggest challenge and our deepest pain that the greatest light can enter us. And this is definitely fodder for spiritual growth. And so having Chiron, the wounded healer, in polarity to the moon today, moon being emotion, being our sensitivity, being our vulnerability, Chiron being the wounded healer, there's the potential for a great deal of sensitivity. And so I wanted to go into what sign Chiron is in and has been in this entire year to get some breadth and some depth on this. And so Chiron is in the astrological sign of Pisces, and Pisces is a water sign. Pisces is highly intuitive. It is deeply spiritual. Pisces is in touch with the ephemeral realms of creation. The symbol for Pisces are the two fish. One fish swimming in waters above the spiritual realm, and one fish swimming below in the waters of reality, right? Of the daily life. So if you meet Piscean people, sometimes they feel ephemeral, sometimes they feel as though, do they have both feet on the ground? It's because they're in contact and connected to other realms. Okay, and so having Chiron, the wounded healer, for the collective in Pisces is speaking to our connection to the divine, our connection to the spiritual, our connection to fantasy, imagination, our dreams. Pisces is the realm that we cannot see, and yet we can channel through art, we can bring through music, we can share through our stories and our spirit. Pisces is the spirit. And so having the wounded healer in the sign of the spirit and the sign of the spiritual, our meditative, our intuitive self, the waters of creation, means that there could be a very deep wound that we are processing through in the collective around our spiritual gifts, around our psychic abilities, around our intuitive gifts. And so, are you deeply psychic? Are you deeply intuitive? Are you connected? Do you channel divine energy through you? With Chiron here, this entire year of 2024 may have been very intense because we are being asked to clear and heal all of the traumas that we have gone through related to our psychic abilities or related to our ability to sense and perceive energies, frequencies, and vibrations that others may not be able to see. And so if you look back into time, a prime example of Pisces or Chiron in Pisces would be Jesus, because Jesus was deeply spiritual, deeply connected to God. He channeled messages of compassion and love and humanitarianism and the desire to love thy neighbor. Pisces is all about love. It's all about loving everyone and helping everyone and humanitarianism and supporting those who need support. And it cares for everyone. Pisces people are the great humanitarians. They are always being of service to even the least among ye. And so Pisces energy speaks to that big heartedness of the giving heart. And think of the symbol of Jesus and Mary with the hearts, big fiery hearts. It's like these big open hearts. And yet Jesus was persecuted for his gifts. He was persecuted for his abilities. He was injured. He was hurt. He was killed. Yes, according to the story, he did raise from the dead. He did transcend death itself. And so Pisces also relates, and Chiron can relate to our ability to transcend the material realm, to transcend limitation, to transcend the wounds that have kept us stuck in the physical dimension. This is deep. This is very deep energy. The moon in Virgo relates to the divine feminine and the mother. So having the divine mother energy, the divine nurturer energy today, opposite Chiron, the wounded healer. You might think perhaps of the image of Mother Mary holding her son Jesus after he's been crucified. That's the intensity. That's the level of the depth of emotion, as well as the intensity of the illusion that we may be facing or aware of today. And that may be coming up on subtle to profound levels. I leave it to you to share in the comments what your experience of this aspect is, because I think that's really the most fascinating. one thing that could be showing up with Chiron in Pisces this year is just really interesting dreams, very deep dreams, very transformational dreams, as well as ideas, awarenesses. You might be especially creative this year. You might find yourself being drawn to art, to music, to painting, to finally unlocking your artistic gifts, to finally getting in touch with what wants to channel through you, what wants to come through you. So I'd love to hear in the comments, what is this Chiron energy bringing up for you? Have you been wounded around your artistic expression or your spiritual expression or your channeling abilities? Are you a natural spiritual channeler? And have you held that back? Have you kept that hidden? I mean, how many of us are these divine spiritual guides and teachers and empaths? And do we have a platform? Are we out there sharing our message regularly? Or do we have to go through fear, anxiety, sadness, grief, loss, etc., just to get set up, just to go out there, just to begin speaking and sharing our message? I know that this is something I deal with. I am clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient, and I do readings. When I do astrology readings, I'm also reading the energy. I'm highly intuitive, and I'm tuning into past lives and ancestral challenges and helping people to clear those blocks. And what I've come to realize is that we all have them. We all have them. We're all dealing with one type of psychic or spiritual wounding around these gifts. And so with Chiron in Pisces this year and aspecting the moon today, that may be coming up on an unconscious level. And so I want to really encourage you to be kind, to be gentle, to be loving. Let's see if I can, I've got very much a lot of sun coming through here, which is beautiful. A little hard to see me. Okay, we'll just do that for now. So whatever is coming up for you, one of the best things to do is just be kind, patient, be loving, allow the light to come in, allow the awareness to come in. And when I tune into the collective, it just feels like a very deep energy. Very deep energy. It could be triggering things if you're feeling triggered today, if you're feeling emotional, if you find yourself being short-tempered. You might want to ask yourself, what is spirit, universe, my guides, my guardians bringing up to the surface for me? How can I sit with or be with or hold space for what's emerging? And since I've been aware of these energies, I've been very excited to be leading you all through an astrological event next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to start diving into how astrology can reveal so many truths and really see where these energies are affecting us all, really get a sense of what's happening on the planet for each of us, okay? And to really hold space for the love and the light that's in each one of us to open, to expand, to heal, and to grow. These are powerful energies. They ask us to get more in touch with our soul, to get more in touch with our spirit, to get more in touch with love. And so I want to invite you to take some time to slow down. Pisces and Chiron. Chiron and Pisces invites us to slow down. It invites us to create space. It invites us to place our spiritual practice, our spiritual gifts, our intuition, and our awareness as priorities, to share our gifts, to support one another in shining and getting out there with sharing our spiritual truth. So I send you all much love from this beautiful day, from my heart. I hope this was helpful. I hope it assisted you to get more in touch with what Chiron and Pisces, especially retrograde from now until December, may mean. The fact that it's retrograde means that it's bringing things up from the past. I always get the sense of deep past life trauma. If you're dealing with very deep past life trauma, reach out to me. I do past life and ancestral clearing work, and I'm really happy to assist you through whatever may be coming up. Additionally, Michael Grady and I will be leading an event on Friday, September 13th, around clearing blocks to our energy, clearing what is arising. So if you'd like to join us for that event, I'm super excited to have you join us. So leave a message and I send you all so much love. You all are miracles and everything is happening for our highest and best good. How do we handle it? How do we hold it? Through love, through gentleness, through care, and through kindness. Sending you all so much love from Mother Earth, from my heart, and from the beautiful gift that this earth is. Please remember who you are. Please tune into your heart. Please tune into the love. The love is what is real. Everything on the outside are the triggers, the discomfort, the old energies, the old feelings, the old emotions, the old ways of being. You are so much greater than that. You are eternal. You are the great, big love of all that is, being, breathing, expressing, and shining your light out into the world. Allow your truth, allow your love, allow your light to come through. Let go of all of the past wounds. Let go of all of the old past fears and step into your light. If you need support with this, I have a lot of tools. Reach out. I send you so much love. Aloha.